Shalom, when the start of souls by giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash, double honors to the Apostle Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is a real name of whom the word ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His son's true name is Yahushai, and when we pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, meaning in, meaning Dan Sham, meaning names Yahweh, the name of Yahushai. Sometimes, the Spirit just gives you a topic. Right, and literally just as I was closing up for work, thinking about if there were any topics on my mind, right? The Lord delivered one, with the form of work, right? So that's where you get this title from, right? From the story of OJ, and yeah. So basically, what it was, bro, Archeum, bro. Hey, we already know what it is. They say an arrest, right? They don't take Jake as being intelligent, even if it's white Jake, right? When they see a so-called black man, right, they go back to this, right, to basically this what's the word, this chorus here in this song, the story of OJ, right? So basically what happened was, a couple of weeks ago, maybe over a month plus ago, basically what had happened was there was a technical issue at work, right? Over the weekend, there was no monitoring on it whatsoever. No one noticed anything. Okay, so then I came back in on the Monday. I was like, hey guys, this is a problem, right? And I gave them two different solutions. At that time, I gave them one solution. I was like, okay, cool. This is a problem. We can solve it by doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, such and such is dealing with it. Such and such is dealing with it. I was like, cool, but I've got this, proof of concept, right? It works, right? Let's, roll it through. And I was like, no, such and such is dealing with it. It's like, cool. And then, something similar happened not too long after that. And then once again, you spirit, because once again, when we're doing these things, it's the spirit that's dealing with us, right? The spirit gave me another solution that was a little bit more, a little bit easier to work with, and also solved another problem, right? And I was like, hey guys, we could solve it this way, that way, whatever, what have you. To the which, once again, they just didn't deal with it whatsoever. Okay. In that particular day, I remember I gave three solutions, two of which were legit, and one, which was a bit meh, and the only one that that got response was the one that was a bit meh. So time elapses. And basically, today, as work is finishing, there's a firestorm. Because the thing that I'd warned them about, that I tried to be like, hey guys, this is a big problem. Come deal with it. In fact, here are two solutions, right, that you can deal with it. Now it's come to bite them in the ass, right? Because in the places where it was happening before, it was happening, in places where it didn't have loads of impact. But today's place was a place where it has big impact. Okay. So then now I'm just here laughing, man. I'm laughing because it's like, hey, that's what you get. I told you so. Right now, it ain't necessarily, seeing the fall of an enemy, right? But it's sort of like, yo, hey, that's what you get, right? This is the joy that one feels when they're proven right. This is why also it's just a thing about waiting for the Lord, right? In everything, right? Just waiting on the Lord, because we understand. In fact, I've quoted it. I'll read it. We understand that this ain't our rest. Mark 2:10. Right? Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction. Right. So this place isn't our rest. We weren't brought here to to have fun. Right. We weren't brought here to prosper. Which not saying that we may we may not have certain things or whatever have you, but just in general, we were brought here to suffer, man, which is why Jake goes through the things that we go through. Okay, right? So what does it say? Light, dark, foe, real, rich, poor, house, field, still ninja. That's how these devils look at you, man. Right? That's just the state of being that we're in. Okay, it ain't gonna get any better in this kingdom for us, because it's not meant to get better. right? And just because I've been thinking of it, like it's not necessarily the fall of one's enemies, right? But the feeling that I'm feeling right now, hey, I feel happy. So imagine when we actually see the fall of our enemies, because in a micro setting, right? These certain individuals, they oppress a brother at the job, man, right? All different individuals that you deal with at the job. You just be your managers, your this, you send up your curses on them, right? Because why? Because they just be out here oppressing brothers, man. Okay, this is Sirach 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy. The 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Right? So that's what we're waiting for on a macro scale now. We're waiting to see the fall of this devil. Right? The fact that he's got power over us is it's an error in the world, right? That's why it's spoken of, and that's one of the priests. In fact, I'll just grab it now, right? It says, in fact, it's lined up, so I'll read it a little bit later, right? But then this is the history of Jake and this man's kingdom, right? The story that first comes to mind is the Tuskegee Institute, right? This is from blackhistory.mit.edu, right? It says Tuskegee Institute, the 66th Air Force Flying School. Says a 1920s War Department report stated that blacks weren't intelligent or disciplined enough to fly a plane. During World War II, black civil rights groups tried to get the US military to add black pilots to its ranks, which shame on you, Jakes, for trying to be accepted to go to war for this devil. Here it is, you had the best get out of jail free card, literally. Right, you have the best get out of jail free card of you're not smart enough to basically go in and do these things, right? But what did Jake want to do? Jake wanted to be accepted so much, right, that they were willingly going to wanting to risk their lives, right, for this devil. Okay, and that's that Stockholm syndrome, right? Why is he spoiled? Is Judah a servant? Right? Why is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Let's wipe the dust off that one because I butchered it. This is Jeremiah 2:14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Right, so Jake be moving like slaves out here, man. Right, I want to see. Yeah, no, because I just wanted to jump straight into the point. Right, but if I once again just double check this, but if I remember my history correctly, this was a what do you call it? This was an important line, right? Which called the Tuskegee Airmen were an important air force, right, in this war. Okay. You said, yeah, the Tuskegee Airmen not only broke the color line, they shattered stereotypes about black pilots. Okay. But then also throughout, this is from Harvard Library, library.harvard.edu, right? Confronting anti-black racism / scientific racism, right? So this is since enslaved people were first brought to this country, promoters of anti-black racism and white supremacy have co-opted the authority of science, right? What does the scriptures talk? Because science just purely means knowledge, right? But this man has done what? This is 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Right, so these are the different false sciences that this man pushes out on the world. Right, that's how he keeps people in this stupor. Right, so you can try and control them, and basically chats. He just chats a whole load of crap, man. I wanted to say what I'm in the proper way, but trying to be a bit more better spoken in my videos. But yeah, that's it, right? He also talks a whole load of rubbish, right? And he puts it in the guise of science, right? But that same science, he's saying that a man can become a woman. It says to justify racial inequality, a history of pseudoscientific methods proving, in quotes, white biological superiority and flawed social studies used to show inherent racial characteristics still influence society today. Right? Think what would you call it? Phrenology, right? Sketch of skulls. Let me actually just make sure phrenology, the detailed study of the shape and size of the cranium as a supposed indication of character and mental abilities, right? So when you look at it, there was a whole scientific, what you call it, realm. But guess what? It was BS, okay? But that's just it, right? Jake was gonna, be made low. Jake was gonna be called stupid, called dumb, and Esau has. And imagine Esau works to literally keep Jake in that lower state, to keep Jake so that people, don't look at Jake in a smart way. Pushes Jakes in certain school environments, which we call it the public fool system, right? But then it's like, how is it that a so-called Nigerian Jake can be intelligent, but a so-called American Jake, right, ain't, is in school systems whereby they ain't intelligent, right, unless there is a hand, right, a dark hand, right, or rather a red crimson hand, right, doing something. Now, ultimately, we know it's the curses that Jake would be in this position, right? It's Deuteronomy 28:37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whether Yahweh shall scatter thee, right? So wherever we go, Jake should be seen as being low, right? Jake should be seen as, being stupid, being this, being that. And once again, we're the first ones to tell you, look, man, a lot of our people gotta go. The majority of our people gotta go. Amos, the 9th chapter, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, right? Because a lot of our people just ain't right. We've been brought low, right? In fact, that's the next precept, right? This is Psalms 106:43, and then Psalms 106th chapter, right, is basically just a history of Jake, right? Jake just doing all manner of naughtiness, man. Right, here it is, the Most High dealt with them, right? And then what did Jake then go and do? They went and then, went off, right? And that's what it says, Psalms 106:43. Many times did he deliver them, but they provoked him with their counsel and were brought low for their iniquity, right? But we look into this word here, low, right? What you call it, makak, a primitive root to tumble in ruins, right? To perish, be brought low, decay, right? To be low, humiliated. Man, we've been humiliated, man. Here it is, we're the apple of the Lord's eye, right? But look at once again, look at the position that we're in. Okay, this is. I'm gonna keep that because I actually want that one for later. Right, it's Lamentations 4:1. How has the gold become dim? How has the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out into the top of every street. Okay. It says the precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold. How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hands of the potter, right? So how has the gold become dim? Now we understand. We just read it in Deuteronomy, right? It's one of the curses, right? But also, we're going through this thing, and as annoying, as painful as it is, right? Guess what? It's all for the power, to show the power of the Lord, right? And this is a precept to prove this. Is Daniel 4:17. This matters by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. Right now, the current ruler, he's the basest of men. You read Job the 30th chapter, right? He was shooed away from men, man. People don't want to be around this devil, right? But guess what? The Lord cleaned him up, right? Gave him a few guns, and now look at him, right? I'll be out and about. You be looking at certain, different things or whatever, what have you. Right? Might try look at a woman, but then she'll look at you like, right? Because you're a Jake. But these times she'll be with some creepy ass cracker, as an example, right? But for us, that is, for us in the know, we're like, yo, that's messed up, right? But it is what it is. He's the one in rulership at the moment, right? Then once again, you go in certain other circles, right? Once again, just in this particular instance, you be at the job, right? Just explaining, and seeing what the hell, giving solutions to actual problems. But guess what? These devils don't want anything to deal with it, to do with it. And once again, it'll even be so-called white Jakes, man. Jakes that look like so-called white people, man. Right? Because they've taken on, they think they're Edomites. Right? I've got a term, Edomized Jakes. Right? This is Ecclesiastes 10:7. I've seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth, right? And this is, following on from Daniel's 4th chapter, because this Edomite, he's lowly, man, right? He's supposed to be serving us, right? That wasn't the blessing, right? But we understand as part of, of the storyline of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, it was always meant that we would fall, right? But only to come back up. Right, and it's the greatest story. That's where if you really look at the Disney storyline, that's practically what it is. You got a character, your main character, right, and then he goes through a low period, right, and then he gets redemption, and then he lives happily ever after. That's the story of Israel. Okay, now right now we're in that low period, but we're getting ready to live happily ever after, man, in our rightful positions, right, as kings and priests of the earth. Right, I'm going to end with Wisdom, the 5th chapter, and the 3rd verse. And they repent of a groaning anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he, right, whom we had sometimes in derision under proverb reproach. Right, it says, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. Right, it's basically saying these, when they see ultimately Jake basically being esteemed back into their rightful position, they're going to be like, look, he was supposed to be a ninja. He was just supposed to, not amount to anything, right? Which is why ultimately, we've seen it several times, man, where we'll be at the camp and someone tries to come up at the camp and tries to, throw their white supremacy around, right? Or rather, let's use correct terminology. So like you throw their Edomite supremacy around, right? And then and not through our own spirit, right? In 1 Corinthians, the 1st chapter, basically speaks about how the Most High has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, right? And once again, you'll get these, Edomites coming up. I've gone to this university, I've gone to that university. Hey, you've seen it with the apostles, seen it with the elders, seen it with Akim, right? We've experienced this. Oh, I've gone to this university. You don't know what you're talking about. Then they'll bring up an obscure, or maybe not so obscure, but like they might bring up history. Oh, but that was written at this time, and Arkham's like, yeah, we know, right? And then we break it down to them cleaner that they could break it down. Once again, not of our own, right? But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, right? But once again, it was just today, like I said, it was just a reminder, right? Not that we forget. Still ninja. Okay, and that's just what way it's gonna be in this world. We will never be anything more to the eyes of these devils, which is why we don't we're not of this world. It's why we don't seek their approval. We seek Yahweh Hashem Yahshua's approval, right? Because we know who we are, right? Just because they don't know who we are, that doesn't take away from us. We know who we are. Okay, so as always, Lord's what I was edifying. And yeah, man, this devil, he just got to go, man. Put the world in righteous rulership. Till the next time we say, Shalom.